Hey Soup, what's going on? It's Claytano. Thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. So, I know a lot of you guys, like myself, also have jobs, school, girlfriends, parents, kids, all these other things that kind of inhibit your ability or inhibit your time from actually playing the game. And I actually got a request from a gentleman about a month ago, asked me to make a video just like this, where it's really just taking all those distractions and still trying to figure out a way to progress in the game as best as possible, even though you may be more of a casual type player. So with that being said, I do just want to address a couple things and help you guys out, because I'll be the first one to say I have the most probably the most distractions that you could possibly have, aside from having a kid and aside from really my parents getting in the way because they live all the way like 3,000 miles away from me. But I do have a lot of things that kind of inhibit my ability to play. However, I still manage to find time. I still can do well in the arena. Last week I got ranked 24. The week before that, 15 and things like that. And I've been doing really well in spite of it. So I wanted to kind of help you guys out and trying to get you guys to that point where you're utilizing your crystals the most, you're utilizing your energy and your mana to the absolute best it possibly can. So to start off, I want to start really speaking more to like the newer players that are just starting the game. So what I mean by new is that you haven't gotten like your dungeon teams yet. You're really new and just probably finishing the scenario portion of the game. So what I want you guys to do is first focus on building a Giants B10 team, okay? There's lots of guides out there. I've made guides for it as well. Focus on making a Giants B10 team. And then after that, go straight into focusing on making a Dragons B10 team. Don't even focus on Arena. TOA is... I'll talk about TOA in just a second, but don't focus on Arena. Just focus on these two dungeons, okay? And I actually have a video of 5 farmable monsters that can both do these two dungeons, which I'll link it. I'll link it right now, so you guys can click on that and watch that in a second as well. Okay, so once you guys have those Giants B10 teams and the Dragons B10 team with the same 5 monsters, okay? Keep in mind, same 5 monsters. So that's the absolute best you can utilize your monsters. Utilizing your 6 stars, utilizing your 5-star fodders and things like that. So get these two teams down, because if you don't have these teams, you're not going to be able to progress without runes. Okay, runes are the absolute 100% key to the game. That's how you get. That's what defines you from being G3 all the way down to C1. You could have the same exact monsters, but if you don't have the runes, you're not going to progress. So make sure you guys get those teams. Okay. Second off, a lot of players, when they first start out, it's okay to spend money on summons. It's okay to spend crystals on summons. When I said in a couple of my previous videos, when you spend money on summons though, or when you spend crystals on summons, keep in mind that you're 19 out of 20 times you're not going to get anything useful. You're mostly going to get fodder monsters that are going to be pretty useful though once you're first starting out, to kind of progress through the game. Because you're going to need those 3-star monsters to level up 4-star monsters, level up 5-star monsters, 6-star monsters, so that way you can do your dungeons. So it's okay. It's okay to buy some summons when you're first starting out. But once you're like mid-game to late game, it's really not worth it to spend money on summons. That's why I have so much crystals saved up. I'm not free to play. I do spend money on the game, but it's more budgeted. Okay, I spend maybe $50 a month on the game, and that's it. And I budget myself to that, which I don't feel like I'm spending too much. I don't feel like I'm spending too little. I still help support the game, and I love the game. That's why I budget that much amount. So because of that, I can save up crystals for the most part, and I can still constantly refresh my energy. As fast as I can use it, I can refresh it and never run out of crystals. So keep in mind that's something that you guys can utilize as well. Just budget your money and you guys should be fine. Don't think that spending money on the game is horrible, because it's great. It supports the game, it supports the community, and it's still, as long as you don't buy packs all the time, you're gonna have you're gonna have crystals saved up where you can always constantly refresh. So aside from using your crystals, once you have your GB10 and your DB10 team, the next thing you want to focus on is really probably Necro, to be honest, okay? So at this point, TOA is the worst thing that you guys can focus on. Hands down, okay? TOA is going to come with time. It's going to come with, you know, the runes that you farm. It's going to come with the monsters that you pull. Do not focus on it if you don't have the runes and you don't have the monsters. It's going to be a waste of energy. It's going to be a waste of 6-starring. It's going to be a waste of your runes. And the reward is very, very minimal, okay? It's like one Devilmon once you get all the way up to 70. It's one LD scroll that's probably going to pop out a Vagabond. And it's one legendary scroll that'll probably give you a Kung Fu Girl, okay? That's just the way it is. And it's the worst way to spend your resources when you're first starting out. Okay, raids are another huge waste when you're first starting out, because if you don't have the runes to upgrade from your box, the grindstones and the enchantments aren't going to be good at all. So I would say until you have very, very solid runes, I wouldn't focus on raid. Okay, I'm a horrible raider myself to this day, and I can still do well. Raids are going to be super late game that you're going to want to focus on that, because focusing more on the dragons and the giants, those are going to get you better runes than those crappy runes that you're trying to upgrade to semi good runes from the raid grindstones and things like that. So it's still better off to farm those dungeons instead. And with that being said, so once you start having those 2 dungeons down, these ones are super easy to farm. You'll probably have some more monsters to use from that. So that's when you start focusing on your Necro. So after you have a Necro B10 team, again, there's so many guides out there for it. Just look those up; they're great. For me personally, I haven't made a Necro B10 guide just yet, because the team that I use is very not farmable at all, and I don't want to like set bad expectations that you have to have these monsters to do it. But I just want to let you know that Shiwa, Colleen, you know, some of the Harpoos, the Dark Harpoo, I don't know if that's farmable or not. I think it is from dungeons, but there's monsters out there that can do the job. Just find some multi-hitters, make sure they're all timed up correctly, so that way you have enough hits, so like 5-6 hits before your defense breaker goes, and then after that have your slow and your damage dealer go right after that, which luckily enough I have two slows and 2 damage dealers both in one monster, which is why a lot of people use Hua, which is perfectly fine as well. And then also, so since your monsters do get stolen, you want to try to have like even elements, right? So you don't want to have a bunch of fire elements and water elements and wind elements, because if somebody gets stolen, you want to be able to knock that guy out pretty quickly, so that way you can get him back on your team. You don't want to have a wind element monster trying to kill a Shiwa or a Colleen, because it's going to take a lot longer, and it's going to glance, and it's going to be a bad news bears, because the boss is going to kill you, or it's going to keep resetting his you know, revival skill, and it's going to be bad. Okay, so that's just some quick tips on Necro, and that's what you want to spend your energy on and things on, and focus on there. Now, a lot of people think that they have to have a farming monster. You don't have to have a farming monster. That again is going to come in time. You can get a farming monster from Guild Wars. Okay. Again, Guild Wars are not something you should really be focusing on until you have these 3 dungeons all set and good to go. So just find like a little guild that you can get in, and you can kind of farm up points, and so that they're easy. Don't try to be in a guild that's too far ahead of your level, because you won't be able to kill any of the defenses, and you won't be able to get the Ifrits. So with that being said, there's a free-to-play monster, which is Theomars. I know a lot of people don't have him, but he's a great farmer. The second one also, Amir, he's a great farmer as well, and so is and so is Vermos. So if you get any of those 3 monsters, you guys can farm decently. You don't always have to farm Paimon. Don't think that's the only place you can farm. When I was first starting out, I was farming Hydeni, I was farming Tulane. There's really not much crazy different experience between them, and the fact that Paimon doesn't drop Violent anymore, the mana is not that much different either. So don't think that you guys have to farm Paimon. You guys can use your energy on these lower ones if you don't have a farming monster, which I don't recommend spending all of that resources building a farming monster, because you're going to get one throughout the game naturally. And the fact that the dungeons, they drop more rainbow mons than you can really even imagine. So as long as you're just farming non-stop in these dungeons, you're going to get a crazy amount of rainbow mons that you'll be able to use to make your 6 stars, your 5 stars, and so on and so forth. Just to kind of give you an idea, I don't like run it that often, but look at all these monsters, and then all you got to do, instead of complaining about getting unknown scrolls all the time, just go summon some, get the 2 stars, use the 2 stars to level up the other ones, and then use those 3-star rainbow mons to level up the 3-star max rainbow mons. And it's a really good system, and you get lots of 6 stars really, really quickly, instead of trying to spend 200 crystals on a experience booster, then trying to have a farming monster, and then trying to have all of your good runes on that farming monster, because you need to have it quick runs to level them up, because it's going to take, it's bad. It's a bad use of your resources, I'm telling you guys. It's a lot more important to farm the runes, and then since you get the rainbow mon as a bonus, it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So because of that, people that don't have a lot of time to play, you'll be able to progress, or you'll see a lot more progression a lot quicker, because you're not going to be wasting time farming Paimon and not getting any good runes, when you could be farming dungeons, getting those good runes, and then having your 6 stars being built along the way with everything else. So that's a huge thing. I want you guys to definitely take note of that. So once you have those 3 dungeons down, still don't even focus on arena, don't even focus on raids, don't even focus on anything, just focus on those dungeons. Second off, get your Vermos. Okay, I know he's got a couple different types of monsters that are hard to get, but you need to have pretty much everything as close as possible. With farming the dungeons, you can get mystical scrolls, you can get the fire bounty hunter, you can get all those things that a lot of people say are not farmable, which some of them are not. So definitely, you gotta. He is so important in the game, so important. He'll make everything so much easier. You may actually need him for a DB10, so you might have to get him even before you finish the dungeons. And the DB10 and GB10 team that I made for both 5 of the same farmable monsters, it does include Vermos. So yes, get him first. Second off, once you kind of start getting the hang of things, I know I said don't focus on arena, but still make sure you're using your wings. They're almost just as important as your energy, because the sooner you can get using your wings, the sooner you can start building up your buildings here. Now buildings, I know they don't seem like they're that important, but they are. Trust me, they are. And the main ones that you want to focus on are going to be more towards the right. Don't really focus on the elemental buildings just yet, because they're not super important. That's just kind of a bonus in my opinion. But I would focus on the speed one. It's going to take you a while, so just grind through it. And then after that, you want to focus either, feel out where you're lacking on stats. You can go HP, you can do the crit damage one, that doesn't take too long, it's not too hard. Then you can do the HP, the defense one is also good, and the attack one is good, because it's gonna help out all of your monsters instead of just one. Like maybe a couple if you have multiple elements or multiple monsters of the same element that you want to boost the attack on. But those are the main ones that you want to focus on. And then also make sure you guys are always buying the Devilmon, because that's super important. And if you don't use your wings and you're not able to buy the Devilmon, you're going to be going so far backwards, it's not even funny. The Devilmon is so important, you need to get one every single week. And then with that being said, use your Devilmon on either 5-star monsters first. If you don't have 5-star monsters, it's okay to use them on 4-star monsters, but never use them on 3-star monsters. They're too easy to get. I don't care how hard it is to, I don't care how hard it is to get other skill ups for those 3-star monsters. Never use Devilmon on them, because you're gonna get them eventually in the game. I promise. Just be patient. Don't try to rush. This game is not a race. It's go at your own pace. Just because you guys don't have a whole lot of time to play, make sure that you're utilizing it. Otherwise, you're not gonna see any progression, and most likely you'll quit. Because if you don't see progression, I myself, I get bored of the game. I feel like I'm in a rut. I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like, why can't I progress anymore? Don't feel like you just have to have that 5-star monster in order to continue on, because you don't. A lot of people think that I have to have this monster. I'm stuck in the game right now. I have God runes and I just don't have the 5-star monsters, and that's why I'm Guardian. No, do not say that. If you feel stuck in the game, keep farming your runes, okay? And real quick, I want to touch on what runes to keep. I actually do want to make a full video about this, but this is very important on which runes to keep. If you're first starting out and first farming those dungeons, pretty much keep everything. Keep everything. And your rune box should look almost full 100% of the time, because if you have that rune box full 100% of the time and you gotta sell different things to get new runes, you're gonna know your box. You're gonna know which runes you have and which runes are gonna be able to replace other runes, and so on and so forth. So if you get a new rune, you can kind of weed out the weaker ones, bring in the stronger ones, weed out the weaker ones, bring in the stronger ones. And if you see a rune that has good substats on it but might be a 5-star rune, don't hesitate to roll it, because look, this is a great rune. It's an endure rune, but it's still a great rune. Even for somebody else that's like using an offset, it's a 5-star rune. It's got 21% HP. Of course, it's grinded, and defense and speed. Like, it's a great rune. So don't be afraid to roll the runes and use a little bit of extra money and mana to not pass something up. If you see something that has speed on it, it's automatically going to be something that you want to look at keeping, because speed is 100% worthy. It's so important. Speed is one of the most important things in the game. You want to have fast monsters like 99. Mine's not super crazy, but you want fast monsters. The faster you are, a lot of times the better, and trying to keep the same good stats that you want. Okay, I'm not going to go into it too far, but I'm just saying keep as many runes as possible, because if you don't have the rune, then all you're going to see is your mana going up instead of actually having runes to put on monsters. And a lot of people make that mistake. They say, I haven't gotten any single runes, they all suck, when in reality they probably passed on a lot of good runes that could be helpful. They just didn't want to spend the mana to try them out. And I wholeheartedly think that is a great way to spend your mana, because if you don't roll it, you'll never know what it comes out as. Now, don't try to get it all the way to like plus 12 before you quit on it. Get it to at least plus 6, because most of the time they're blue runes that are going to be popping out. And you can kind of see how the rune's going to go. And then after that, if you feel like it's going good, then bump it up to 9. If you feel like it's going good still, then at that time, keep the rune. And then you can either plus 12 it or put it on somebody, switch it out, things like that. Moving on from that though, what did I want to talk about? Yes, so the mystical shop. A lot of people say use your refreshes on mystical shop. I say nay, do not do that, because really the amount of crystals that you use on the mystical shop for the amount of scrolls that you're going to find, or the amount of runes that you're going to find, is going to be a horrible ratio, and you might as well just take that that crystal amount and put it into refreshing your crystals to find the actual runes from the dungeons themselves. If you feel like you're going to be playing a long time, make sure you buy the crystal giant, because he's a great way to do it. He's going to definitely pay himself off. It takes a while, but it's a good investment if you feel like you're going to be playing the game a long time. I mean, if you're not feeling like you're going to be playing the game a long time, then why are you even playing? So why would you even get the crystal giant anyway, right? You see my logic there. So either way, buy the giant, buy him. He's great. Do it. Second off, for people that don't have a lot of time to play, the faster you can make your dungeons, the better. So the faster you can make those GB10 teams, the faster you can make your DB10 teams, is going to help you out, because you're going to be able to run more dungeons in that time, and you're going to be able to see more runes drop. I mean, it's pretty common sense. And then the second thing, though, if you can like play at work, some people are able to play at work, some people are not. You may want more of a consistent Dragons B10 team, because you might not be able to like look down every minute and like reset your dungeon. And most of the time, minute runs, they don't have as great of a success rate. So if you're at work and you can only like look at your phone maybe once, like really peek at it, like maybe it's under your keyboard or something like that, and you can peek at it every once in a while, having a more consistent and surefire run is going to be a whole lot better. Because if you have a 1 minute run and it's sitting under your table for 3 minutes anyway, I mean, it's not helping out. And then if it's sitting under your table for 3 minutes with the fail, that's even worse. So if it's something that you can make where it's consistent, I recommend doing that. So don't always think you have to have the fastest team. It's just depending on your specific situation. Next off, I would say do the rivals. They're great. Doing the rivals at a lower point of the game, or more beginning point of the game, is definitely smart. It's probably more smart than doing the actual arena fights themselves, because most of the time you're not trying to worry about arena anyway. You're going to be like Challenger 3 or something like that, and it's just going to be as useful, if not more useful, to do these, because you get crystals on top of it, and it's almost like a 100% win, so you'll always get these things, the glory points to use. And okay, so let's move on from that, and I'm trying to talk pretty fast so that way I can kind of get everything in a reasonable amount of time. So once you kind of work your way through that, I would recommend, let's say you got your dragons, you got your necro giants. After that, I would say probably have a little bit of focus on arena. You're gonna have most of like your core monsters by this time. You can focus a little bit on arena, but don't like take any runes from your dungeon farming teams to put on your arena team, because dungeons are still way more important. And then once you kind of like start finishing Conqueror, things like that, I would then look at Trial of Ascension. Again, don't move any of your runes from your dungeon team to your Trial of Ascension team, because it's not going to be worth it. And then, so by the time Guild Wars is like way on the bottom of the list, it's really not important, and a lot of people get into the groove where they're putting all their good runes on their Guild War team, and it's taking all the runes away from their dungeon teams, and it's really not worth it. I would almost never focus it. It shouldn't be a top focus in anyone's mind, because if you have monsters for arena, you can use them in Guild Wars. If you have monsters for dungeons, you can use them in Guild Wars. So that's it. World boss is just a bonus. Make sure you're doing that every day. It takes 10 seconds to do. If you're in like a lower level guild or lower rank guild, you can do the things every day pretty quickly. I recommend doing them. If you don't have time to do the Guild Wars, make sure you're in a guild that's okay with it, so you don't get kicked. After that, I mean, it's pretty much to your discretion. As far as guild wars are concerned, since you are going to be doing them every day, even though you're not focusing on the specific monsters for guild wars, make sure you're buying your Rainbowmon every single week. If you find yourself not having enough points to buy a Rainbowmon every week, make sure you're doing your guild wars a little bit more. But again, don't focus on the runes on your guild war team. And it's crazy because I see so many people that are able to like do TOA hard and they only finish like fighter 3, and I'm just like, wow, that's not where you should be focusing your time on. Because I mean, cool, you finished TOA hard, but what did you get from it? Like, what is that? How does that help you? And you got to really find out what's going to be the most bang for my buck. For the most part, I mean, that's what it comes down to. And that's pretty much it. That's what I would say. As far as like game progression goes, your mana, I mean, if you see this right now, this being at 0, this being at 10, I have like ADHD. It's not ADHD. It's maybe OCD, something like that. But like, this is a waste. I'm wasting time right now that I'm not using these things. So, but I know a lot of people, they can't always log in to use all their wings all the time. So what I would say is, if you can only log in a couple times out of the day, use a couple wings, because that's going to give you like another 4 hours. So like, say if you use 5 wings, right? If you can log in, use 5 wings, maybe on your rivals real quick, which should be pretty easy. Then you have another 2.5 hours before you get up to the max. Second off, if you have like energy, do your world boss. That takes a nice chunk out of it and gives you enough time to have them refresh by the time you can check your phone again. Also, if you can do your guild wars, that takes a nice chunk out of your energy. Maybe not do all of them at one time, so that way you can maybe do one world boss, one guild war fight, and then run a couple dungeons. And then when you can come back to your phone, run one world boss again, one dungeon against, or no, one world boss, one guild war again, so that way you can, have another time, and then, so on and so forth. You guys get it? I think you get it. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse on the ground, so to speak. But once you guys kind of have that progression down, you'll see yourself not really wasting much energy, not wasting much mana, not wasting your crystals. That's the main thing. Crystal refreshes are going to be your friend. So when you have the time to play, refresh as much as possible. Like, don't stop. Just if you're like eating dinner, I don't know if your girlfriend or like your parents or whoever is going to allow this, but like, just chill and have Summoner's War autoing, dungeons in the background. Don't like always feel like you have to have it right up at your face. Don't always feel like you have to be talking to other people in the world chat or the channels here, because that's the main thing that kind of gets me in trouble, is sitting at home just like this, like talking to people in the world chat and not, ignoring my fiance and things like that. I recommend not doing that, but anytime I have it just autoing and I'm just sitting there like having a conversation with everybody, it's okay. It's okay for it to be like on, and most of the time they're okay with that. So I would also recommend kind of bringing that up. If you have school, I mean, you should get breaks, play in between your breaks. I don't want to say like have no life where you can't go out with your friends, but there's things you can either jump in between like classes, like bring on the game and like do a couple things in between classes, things like that, or just kind of make sure that you're absolutely 100% utilizing your resources as much as possible, because that's, if you don't want to jump on the game every 5 seconds, then you're going to want to make sure that you're utilizing as much as possible when you actually do have time to play. Other than that, I'm going to leave it at like a 30-minute video there. Hopefully you guys got something good out of this. One when I make these videos, I'm not sure like how many people it's going to reach, if it's really going to be useful, if people already know this kind of stuff. So if it does help you out, leave a comment in the description, because I do like feedback. I do like knowing that this helped. So other than that, appreciate you guys watching. Always stay soupy, don't be potatoes, and I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye. That was a loud knock, I'm sorry. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you want to see my previous video, you can click on the link or visit me on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, I just started making t-shirts, so check out my website at www.claytano.com to see all of my gamer-inspired apparel. And as always, stay soupy and don't be a potato.